Joe Leigh here, Seconds Out. Eddie, how are you?
Doing good, mate. Great setting here, ready for the big fight on Saturday. Kubrat Pulev just got in the ring now. Derek Chisora ready. It's going to be a great show.
Good tunes on, good vibes today?
Absolutely, mate. Always the way.
Okay, so let's get stuck into this Saturday. We'll start obviously with the headline. Derek Chisora, we always expect exciting fights with a new trainer this time around.
Yeah, I think, look, Derek's Derek. You know, he knows he has to win this fight. It's all very well saying he's fighting these elite guys but losing, but he's still losing. So this is a very tough fight. It's a 50-50 fight. Both guys have to win. You know, the first fight was close. I think you're going to see another close fight Saturday, but it's a must-win fight for Derek Chisora.
Yeah, he always trains his trainers, but it's not one of those. He's not one of those fighters who necessarily needs the same person in his head. How do you think he'll attempt to attack this fight against Pulev, the rematch?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because, you know, Pulev is a stand-up guy, European style. Sometimes a little bit awkward, and he's going to want to jab and hold Chisora. He's not going to want Chisora to get up close. So Derek's got to find a way when he's on the inside to hurt him and rough him up. But he's got to start fast, and he can't afford to get halfway through the fight and be losing this fight comfortably, which can happen against a style like Kubrat Pulev.
What did you make of his standing in the corner for the last fight? Because I thought it was exciting, but obviously it's not. You shouldn't really box like that.
You just never know what he's going to do. That's why he's so exciting. You know, he was hurt, so he stood in the corner and just a pot shot and try and knock the other guy out. You know, so look, Derek's an enigma. You know, he's one of a kind, and everyone will be behind him at the O2 on Saturday.
Can we expect him fighting for, obviously, depending how this fight goes, would you be happy to be with him for another few fights?
Whilst there's no sign of regression, while he's competitive in these big fights, but obviously you get to 4 defeats on the road, again, regardless of who you're fighting, you have to look at where you're at in your career. But at the moment, he's sparring well, he's training well, he's up for it, he's excited to fight, he's a prize fighter, he fights for the fans. So everyone's behind him on Saturday. Okay,
Ramla Ali, quickly on her. She's exciting. She's been to the States. She's got a painting in her hometown as well.
Yeah, she's also, you know, she's sold a huge amount of tickets for the weekend as well. And she's just another rising star of female boxing that's really coming through, you know. And big support for her on Saturday. I think this will be the last one for her before she jumps into title fights.
How many tickets?
I think she's done about 700 or 800, you know, just on her own. So, you know, big support.
Great. Felix Cash, obviously, he's mentioned in an interview, I think with Derevinchenko or something along them lines. I might be wrong with that name. I do apologise. But we're expecting a bit of a higher step in level of opponent with
Felix Cash. Yeah, I think he's got a tough fight. You know, he's fighting Vaughan Alexander, who's coming off a couple of big wins. Just beat Luis Arias, who just beat Jarrett Hurd before there. So Alexander's a good fighter. You know, you've got Kevin Agyarko, who's stepping up against Macic, moving down to 154. I think it's going to really suit him. I'm really excited to see Kevin box. Fabio Wardley's got a good fight against Eubank. Solomon Daker's on the card as well. For me, the standout fight of the card is Israel Madrimov against Michel Soro, final eliminator for the world title. The first fight was a war. It's a really good, well-rounded card, of course, with the big boys up top.
Kevin Agyarko, how far can you take him? I won't take the credit, but JJ Metcalf fight, someone like that, because he's got quite a slick style, he doesn't get hit. But with
the problem is like JJ Metcalf now, after that win, he's looking for a big sort of world level fight. You're not really going to want to jump in with Kevin Agyarko. He hasn't had many fights. We're still building his profile, and he's very dangerous. So we've got to pay up the money to give him those options. I feel like we've brought him through perfectly at the moment. This is the perfect fight for him at 154 pounds. If he wins this and wins it well, we'll see what's next.
Yeah, looking forward to his progress. I can't get my words out today. KSI, we've seen him back on the zone against Alex Wasabi. You're not going to be promoting that though?
No, I'm not involved in that fight. This is great for the zone. It's going to add another several 100,000 subscribers, but you know, it's not for me the YouTube stuff, and it's great to have KSI on the platform, and I'm sure it'll be well watched, and we focus on the other side of boxing.
Yeah, you mentioned to me a while back you kind of fell out of love with the YouTube.
For me, you've got to be involved with things you're passionate about, and I'm not passionate about. I don't dislike it. I think it's definitely serves the sport. I saw that firsthand, but you know, we're focusing on our core business.
What do you make of the storyline? Alex Wasabi beat Deji's younger brother, now KSI's coming to avenge that.
It's just like EastEnders.
Who do you think is going to win quickly?
I have absolutely no idea.
Just sticking on the social media boxing side of things quickly, Jake Paul Tommy Fury is officially off now. You've obviously said you feel like Jake would win that. You feel like Tommy's escaped a fight here?
I think it's a 50-50 fight. You know, the next one they're talking about is Rahman's son. I think it's a good bit of matchmaking. I think he wins that fight as well. So we'll see what happens. I haven't seen any official announcements, but yeah, not my show.
Okay. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano too, because we're on Jake Paul at the moment. Anything to note?
No, they turned down that fight. They didn't want that fight just yet, regardless of the money. They wanted to get a win, and hopefully we can look at that fight next year.
CONOR BENN, Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know what
Everyone's asking me about that at the moment. You know, that's That's kind of like a dream fight, like a fantasy fight, isn't it? But at the moment, there's no negotiations going on with me and Calla. We've spoke about the fight a couple of times. Someone just pulled me to the side over there. Went, is it made? Is it made? I'm like, what? Eubank Ben? I went, no. So look, Calla's just back from Australia. We're due to catch up this week, so I'm sure we'll have a chat.
On that fight, if that was to happen, it would obviously be pay-per-view. But do you feel like both fighters could then go on to be pay-per-view stars after that as well?
Yeah, it's a massive fight, but again, it's not. We're looking at Conor's career, looking at the welterweight scene. If that fight materialised, I'm sure both guys would jump at it, but it's not a fight that is imminent at the moment.
So it's not going to be next for Conor?
Unless something happens over the next couple of weeks, but it's not the front runner of fights we're looking at.
What's the latest with the broadcast deal, AJ Usyk too?
All in the hands of the Saudis. Obviously, they own the rights for the show, so I'm sure they'll look at the best opportunities on the table and announce in due course.
It'd be great if it was on DAZN.
For us, yeah, of course. But obviously, every platform wants that fight. We'll see what happens.
Just quickly on the Shields Marshall all women's card, September the 10th. Did you see bits of the press? There was back and forth spike?
Yeah, bits. Obviously, we got Alicia Baumgarten, the fighting Mayer on that fight. I'm a bit disappointed that didn't get its own card in America. I feel like Mayer's a big star and she shouldn't really be on an undercard. Same with Alicia, but it's a good night for women's boxing. I believe it's all female fights on the card. And obviously, we're big supporters of women's boxing. I think it's great for the sport. Yeah,
just one more minute. I do appreciate your time, Eddie. How do you see the main event going with obviously Savannah getting a win over Clarissa in the amateurs?
I've always felt that Savannah was the favourite, to be honest with you, in that fight. So we'll have to see. I think, it's a 50-50 fight.
Who's Katie going to fight in the meantime if it's not going to be Amanda?
Now we'll look to announce. I think she'll fight in November, December.
And then just quickly on Sheffield.
Yeah, Sheffield, Dalton Smith against Samo Mason, great fight. Johnny Fisher, Campbell Hatton's a good next-gen card on there. Jordan Thompson on there as well. Many others that I've missed out, but selling really well. And Dalton Smith, I believe, is going to be a massive star in Sheffield.